So welcome in Lokayata. It's a proud moment for all of us, the Ambedkarites, world over, that we are meeting Mr. Elias Mattu, who is the Lord Mayor of Wolverhampton. And it's a great achievement for a person who has come from India, faced all kind of discrimination in life, and made a political history here in Wolverhampton. So we will be speaking to him about his struggles, his achievements, and his suggestion and advices to fellow Indians and other expatriates in UK. So welcome, sir, very much. Jai Bhim.
Yeah.
I would say congratulations to you for becoming Lord Mayor. Tell us about your journey. You belong to Labour Party.
I do belong to Labour Party.
What brings you to Labour Party?
Well, I've been a Labour Party member for many years. When I joined the Labour Party when I was in college, studying for my O levels. So I was very young. I was only about 17 years old. I was encouraged by one of my teachers, lecturers in the college, to join a political party. He didn't really say to me to join Labour Party. He gave me 3 booklets.
Okay.
We used to hold little debates in the college, in those days. He was our English teacher, and he was Irish. And he said, he used to leave about 15 minutes at the end of the lecture lesson. And it's, then he put a weight on the blackboard and he said, let's talk about this. And I was always very enthusiastic to talk about politics and other things. And almost led the debate myself. And then one day he said to me, you should join a political party. Have you ever thought about going into politics? I said, no. And he gave me 3 booklets, Conservative, Liberal, and Labour. He said, read this, see which one takes your fancy. So I read all 3 booklets, they were small, and I listened to him and I joined the Labour Party, because that was the closest to my values, actually.
Yeah. So when did you come to UK?
I came to UK in 1968.
1968.
1968.
I
was 8 years old. I was 9 here.
Okay.
I celebrated my 9th birthday here. And so I was 8 years old when I came. I was very young. But I still, obviously, I have a very vivid memory of India. Even from my childhood, because that is the strongest memory we carry.
Yes.
When we're older, we forget things, but at younger age, whatever we don't forget our childhood experiences. It's been a journey since, and when I came over, times were difficult here. Our elder man, ex-mayor, commissioned us, and he obviously had a lot more experience than I had in those days. And it was a struggle for the Asian community to settle, because that's when the work of the Asian community came into this country during late 50s and 60s and 70s. So there were challenges. There was a man, MP, in my constituency where I represent the Labour Party now, and his name was Elias Mattu, and he was considered a racist. He made a speech, a Rivers of Blood speech, very famous.
Yes.
And that really was a shock for me when I first came, because that gave rise to extremist organisation called the Skinheads.
Okay.
And I know that Vishandas, and they used to lead a fight against them. So actually, it was a time when, a difficult time as a child. I always say I remember 3 things. His speech, because that sent a lot of fear among our people, Asian community. And my mother used to say, to us when we went to school, most of the people here, white people, are very decent, good human beings. And, if any skinhead follows you or chases you, knock anybody's door, and they will let you in and they will protect you. So, that incident sort of never rose, but nevertheless, it was a time, it was a very difficult time. Then I remember I never had seen a snow in my life in India, so I saw snow. I remember that. Then I remember the Christmas, Christmas, the way it's celebrated here with the lights, you know, for 3 months. It's a 3 month season, and those three things just and apart from what I so in India at the time.
So which part of India you come from?
I come from Punjab, India, which is not too far from Amritsar. It takes about 35-40 minutes from Amritsar to my village, which is
Jammu and Kashmir border.
It's not too far from us, but it's some distance still. I think it's closer to where Councillor Bishandas comes from.
Okay.
Yes, from Hashab, so it's that way. But it's been a long journey.
What were your parents doing, and which community you belong to?
I belong to my family actually adopted Christianity maybe a couple of 100 years ago.
Oh.
So ancestors were in the army.
Okay.
My grandfather, my father, my uncle. Mm-hmm. So that's the sort of I think maybe that's how they adopted. I think it's through the army connection. Mm-hmm. But it has been we got the first church, which was built by great granddad in our village. Mm-hmm. There was no gurdwaras or anything else there then. We got two churches in our village, a very large Christian community, and one gurdwara which was built in the early 80s. Okay. So we have I go back. I've been back many times to India. Mm-hmm. That was my father's plan, was so we don't forget our mother tongue. Mm-hmm. So at home we were always required to speak Punjabi, and my father was very insistent. The young people who serve in the army, they're very strict and disciplined. Yeah. He said, "No, you're not speaking Punjabi in front of your mother and father." Okay. To all our brothers and sisters. So we all speak very fluent Punjabi. And Hindi, I learned, I did A-level in Hindi and Punjabi. Okay. So I polished my Punjabi even more. Although, I was 8 years old, I could read and write Hindi and Punjabi when I came over. Okay. We were in boarding school. In India. Okay. And do you get information about your community, your people in Punjab and elsewhere? All the time. I'm very much concerned about our community, Valmiki community, and Ravidasya community, and other backward communities in the north and south. We hear stories. I always keep up in very passionate about caste discrimination. Yes, and this is I have spoken many times about this, and recently, about 6 weeks back, I was recognized. My work was I've done a few articles. I went to travel to Brussels, Sweden, and I was invited to go to South Africa to speak on human rights, and I actually used Dr. Ambedkar as my role model and his philosophy. And I delivered my lectures on that, and I wrote about child poverty, about child labor and caste discrimination, and I did covered several areas, and they recognized my work recently, and I don't know if the confirmation was that I was awarded a doctorate of humanity. Great. It had to be signed by 77 countries, and it's affiliated to the United Nations. Okay. You think that one of the major challenges in removing the untouchability is actually the whole practice of manual scavenging in India, and it's rapid. And even if the form has changed, in the villages it still exists, but in the cities it is now in the sewer lines, where people are dying and going and dying every day. It actually concerns me a great deal. It breaks my heart. I still, I keep up to date with the latest information coming from India, from different parts, and it really is a heartbreak to see. We actually belong to that community. Yeah. you know. So that's it.
That's the
we
more
we come
painful.
from that, and it's more painful because our forefathers suffered so much.
Yes.
And I think in the 21st century, when we hear about our brothers and sisters still suffering, we are something is not right, and somewhere the system has failed us.
Yes.
And I think the fight is ongoing. Baba's have actually initiated the fight against caste-based discrimination, and he suffered from caste discrimination himself. So he had a very first-hand experience himself, and he's my role model and he's my hero, and that's how I describe him. And I've read so many about him in his books, and I've been inspired by him even in my critical life. Mm-hmm. So what I am is mostly comes from the inspiration of Dr.
It's very, very important thing that you said. Does your being Christian affect your relationship with the community here?
Personally, I have a reputation here which I get on with all communities. I have been working here for many, many years. And when I came into politics, I learned so much from Bishan Das when he came, and he inspired, and the roles that I achieved, it was through his inspiration, and he was always encouraging me. He said, "You're young, go for this, go for that, go for this." And I was one of the longest serving cabinet members until I took over the mayor's role. 10 years. And I served as a director of West Midlands Police, director of West Midlands Transport Authority. I was chair of Equality and Diversity Board for 5 years. I am still the first Asian to be the chair of an organization called APSC, which stands for Association for Public Service Excellence. It's an advisory body to the local and central government. So we get cabinet members from the central government attending our events. Last year I was chairing one meeting, and 18 months ago in Ireland, and David Cameron, the ex-Prime Minister, he attended that meeting, and I was chairing them. So it's a great honor. Yeah. And I'm the first Asian to get that, and it was actually mentioned in the Times of India. Mm-hmm. It is a great honor to represent our community, and one thing I don't forget is our own community. We know that they have specific needs, and we need to, I think, collectively fight against discrimination still goes on. It may be people are changing their minds slowly, yes, but the process is very slow. Mm. The 3,500-year-old practice is not gonna, change overnight. Yes, but the speed of change, the pace of change, is in our hands now, and many of our people from our communities are well educated, yes, and they can bring that change. They can change that. They can speed up the pace. But unfortunately, many of people get educated and they forget. They take high positions and they forget that where they belong to. And that is also very painful for us. It is very, very painful, very hurtful. If one person is in a position of authority, yes, he should be able to help at least 10 people more. That's how it's going to change. Get them into jobs. Yes. Can encourage them to go into education.
One of the major things in India when it happens to sanitation occupation is there are a lot of issues because most of the, particularly the sanitation workers are employed by the municipal corporations. And despite different courts order, we have high courts order that people should be provided health gear and all mechanized things. Things have not happened. Because your corporation must be seeing all those kind of things. How is different here?
Well, here actually, for nobody, sanitation is not a problem here for anybody. Everybody is treated equally. Everybody
Paid.
does their own work, paid equally. It's not an issue here in the Western countries, but it's a very big, huge issue here still in India. Personally, I think no matter what caste, whether they're Brahmin caste or any caste, they should be doing their own sanitation. We don't need to. Our community don't need to do those jobs.
Absolutely.
But they're being forced by the social, because there are no other source of income for them. And that's why the need is even more pressing for those people, at least their children, to be educated, at least one or two from each family.
How will you suggest to the government, particularly because there is a responsibility to the state also?
I think absolutely it is a responsibility of the government and the state and the municipal government.
Yeah.
But do they want that change? If they want change, they could have that change. You've got to be determined to achieve that. And I think because a lot of them are still from higher caste, and if the system suits them, they will not let it's like a slavery. They don't want to let the slaves go. This was a problem in Egypt, and Moses, I'm often reminded of that. Moses wanted to take the Israelites out of Egypt, but King Pharaoh didn't let them go because they were slaves.
Yeah, he wanted to have.
He wanted to keep them. He wanted to keep his slaves, and this is what is happening right now under our noses. And we are, we're educated, we're more alert, but many times I think the problem is not only coming from them.
Yeah.
The problem is for our communities where we're not making enough noise, and people who are educated and in good jobs and in good positions, they're not really fighting the fight that they should be. They get a high-paid job and they become quite comfortable in that environment and
dissociate from the community.
Yes, and this is what's been happening for many years. I think we can. That's why I'm saying the pace of change is in our hands. We can change now because so many of our people are in good positions. So many people have gone abroad. There's so many people living here in the UK, Canada, America, across Europe, and those people, I think, people living abroad are more active than the ones living in India, and because it just means it shows that they're not but they're still suppressed.
Yeah, but people living abroad also are in their own
structure. They find themselves a structure, but they are more alert. We got Kanchi TV, and which is actually quite well known and prominent in raising these issues. Okay. And, what we need is people like Christian yourself, to writing 15, 16 books and raising the profile of the issues that our community faces is absolutely crucial. And therefore, we need more people. We need media like Devinder, Devinder is writing his weekly paper.
Yes. How do we media today is also kind of very powerful also, and we have paid media also where distortion of facts are happening, and there is an equity law here which is not been implemented.
The media actually thrives on negative stories, and one of the things which we can do is give them positive stories, give them a reality. Stories which are actually not stories, the reality that is being, keep feeding them that, and they will have to print even in small.
Like in India, what we call is the Brahminical media. To be very candid, they are distorting facts, they're not reporting anything. But how do we people here? At least they can sensitize the media here.
We got internet now, and we don't need even for big meetings. We to raise a profile or bring up an issue to public notice. We don't need to book big halls anymore. It's just to go on the internet, and it goes international straight away. We should be training our youngsters, our people, to be more educated in modern technology. And we need our own media wherever we can. We need our own press. So our people are actually being made alerted about the issues that are facing our communities. And there's that awakening that we still need. And also the other communities need to know. Sometimes I do feel that we're too quick to blame others, and we need to blame ourselves. What are we doing?
Yeah.
They are doing what they're doing. They've been doing for centuries.
Yes.
And it becomes part, it's a routine for them. But we can change. They will not change.
Yes.
We can change. And some of them, to be honest, we have a lot of friends. Councillor Bishop has been a very popular councillor in the community, myself. And we get on with everybody. Yeah. And they are actually coming out of their shell. And they are accepting us, and sometimes we are too quick. And I think the other thing is, we need to be brave about things. And passed by the mandir, and they had to be beaten up, and the mandir stairs or whatever, they had to be washed milk or things like that. But these things are not happening as much now. And I think the message is catching on with them as well, that this is wrong, because they come here and they get equality, they get equal rights in the Western countries. They can be easily discriminated against. But I think the Western culture is very accommodating and treats everybody the same. And that is the message. Whenever we get the opportunity, we always remind them of that. You enjoy equality here, save the same when you go back to India.
But that is the biggest crisis and biggest irony of India, that people who are enjoying equality here are exporting hatred back in India.
That's absolutely right.
Last few years, if you see the thing, the right-wing forces in India getting maximum support from the non-resident Indians. We call them non-reliable Indians, because back home we are promoting caste. Back home, you are promoting all kind of hatred. Back home, you want to have a dictatorship kind of a leadership, and that is a challenge. How do you bring to these non-resident Indians to say that you promote equality in India, promote democracy in India?
We can do that is still very few, and the Councillor Vision was first mayor in the country, from our community, and we need more people here in the UK, America, other places, to take those roles, to get involved in politics. And that's the only way we can change their attitudes, their mindsets. And I think we're not doing enough. And not many of our people are coming forward to take part in politics. And I always go out and say to them, if you need any advice, anything, come to us and we'll advise you.
Why are people opposing the caste, the equality law here, and inclusion of caste?
Well, that is, we know that we probably understand better than the English people why they're, because the mindset hasn't changed. They're still carrying that, it's in their blood. They're still carrying that same attitude, discriminatory practices of caste-based discrimination, because they don't want to change. They're slaves and they should be slaves, although many of us are more educated than them, better looking than many of them. And still, we do face those challenges here. But I think we can confront those challenges, and we often do. Caste Watch is doing a great job here in the country, and the people like Shindas, who actually stands on the stage and actually challenge these practices. I do, but it's not. We haven't got enough people to do this. We need to encourage more people to come in this field and fight the fight, and try to bring back the values and the philosophy of Dr. Ambedkar, the fight he started. We need to finish it.
As a political person, doesn't the rise of right wing in all the Western democracy also worry you?
It absolutely does. It worries me. But why is it happening? That's the biggest challenge for us. A lot of people, I think, in the Western world at the moment, the problem is not with our communities, with the Western people. It's the Muslim people become a problem for the West because their values are incompatible with the Western values, whereas our people, they can fit in.
Yes, because for them is a modern.
Yeah. So that's the biggest challenge for them. So the fight is between the West and Islam. So but we get sometimes we get labeled as well because we look the same.
But the Western democracies are also suffering from Islamophobia.
Yeah, I think immigration has been a problem. They knew what they were letting in. They were too relaxed on the border control, and they just let anybody in. But sometimes, they've gone and interfered in the other countries, so they're paying the price for that as well. Interference in other people's way of life, their countries, and so they have, the rest. It's a very, very sort of a confusing picture. That is, they're very good on one side when it comes to dishing out equalities, to everybody. The laws are made to make sure that everybody is treated the same. But then on the other side, the political interference has created so many problems here, not only abroad, but here in this country as well.
Just before we wind up, two questions for India, particularly the communities which you belong to, because I want to. It's important because you think about them, and as you said, I still am worried and all. One is, what would you suggest to the youngster? There are no girls in the sanitation work. Women were doing all the manual scavenging work in the villages. Many times they are forced to do things. Many times they're compared to. Many times also there is like a kind of, it is my tradition. Young boys who are diving into these septic tanks and dying. So this is a shame for India that it is not. But also we have to revive the community to.
I think it's a shame for India, and it is also, I think it gives us the message that why is this happening? Our communities need to really wake up. We're in the 21st century. We got rights now. We never had before. Communities do have rights. We can fight. We can challenge. I think one of the biggest problem in sanitation with labour is people have a mindset that traditionally this is what we have done, like you said, and this is our job. We have to do this, and they need to understand. We need to educate these people. This is not a job. You could be doing something else. My communities, we should have a prime minister. It's possible.
Yeah.
We have MPs. Yeah. We have MLAs. Why can't we have other more suitable, decent jobs? And I think it's about education. We need to support them financially and educate those communities and train people to go into those communities, and so they are properly equipped to get the message across to them. You don't have to do this job.
How are you as a person here? Because Indian government is not going to do this at their own way. Indian officers will not go to. This is a hidden apartheid.
Yeah.
And how are you going to, like, as an individual, as a political leader, as a mayor? What do you think?
I think the future is education is best for our communities. More people are educated. More people will be in better jobs. But I think we need to train people to go to these people who do scavenging jobs, and working in horrible conditions. And we also need to provide alternative employment for them, which will cost money. The government will not pay, but we need to organize, ourselves. We give money to charity. Why don't we start something where, our people, those people who are particularly doing those jobs, and spending money on them, and teaching them, training them into another trade. They can do something.
Can you, like, because it's global situation, you are sitting here, and more and more private corporations are coming up in India. Investment is going on from here. Can there be a kind of monitoring of that? These people should employ now as a part of rehabilitation, honorable rehabilitation of people?
I think that's a very good question. When foreign industry established itself in India,
Yes.
and to be honest, I watched a documentary not so long ago, a couple of 3 weeks back, and they were actually looking into this. One of the call centers, they employ people from backward communities. So these things do happen. And I think it's a good thing that more Western industry and organizations are actually working there, starting their businesses there, which would, I think, this is probably the Indian companies won't do it, but the foreign companies will, if we raise the issues with them more. I think we should be doing it, and I will do my level best to write to these companies and with other organizations to raise those pressing issues.
Thank you very much for your time and good wishes to you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to speak to him, and we hope that the people back in India will understand his sentiments. We hope that he would be able to raise these issues along with other Ambedkarite friends internationally, because the international pressure is very, very important to liberate people in India. Thank you very much.